All right, guys, so I caught this segment, and honestly, I couldn't believe it when I watched it, because Dr. Rand Paul, right, who's a doctor, right, is going up against Dr. Rachel Levine, who is one of Biden's more controversial health nominees, right? And doing this confirmation here and here, he's basically grilling her on the issue of children, right, being able to get sexual reassignment surgery and you know, hormone blockers, right, using medicine in order to basically try to change or alter their biologies at, you know, young ages. And I already told you guys, you know, I'm just gonna be straight up. I don't have a problem with the LGBTQ movement outside of children, right? My biggest issue with it is I think that this ideology is being pushed on kids who are not old enough to understand the gravity of their decisions, particularly when it comes to you know, sexual reassignment surgery and you know, hormone blockers and things of that nature. Okay, that's my biggest issue with it, right? Other than that, freedom, right? 18, do what you want, right? And I think that parents should be allowed to raise their kids the way they want to raise their kids, as long as it's, you know, legal. But apparently the government and corporate America is trying to make it harder for parents to raise their kids, as they're trying to tell parents what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? And I don't think that's right. So Rand Paul is going to question Miss Levine here, and her inability to answer his question, or refusal to answer his question, is just shocking, because it's a very, very, very simple question. Okay, so let's take a listen.
Dr. Levine, do you believe that minors are capable of making such a life-changing decision as changing one's sex?
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I would look forward to working with you and your office, and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question was...
So obviously she not going to answer the question, right? And this right here concerns me, because, you know, we're voting to give you a official government position in which she's going to have a hand in dictating domestic policy like this. Okay, and we need to know what you think, right? And the fact that she refuses to answer the question, to me, is a red flag, right? You're telling me essentially that obviously you're for it, because Rand Paul said that in the past that, you know, she has been for it, and she's not denying it now. And if she's for it, then she needs to let the American people know that that's what she's for, so that, you know, we understand what's going on. We have some transparency here. Okay. And, you know, it's just annoying when politicians do this, right? I mean, she's not really even a politician, but government officials do this, where they refuse to answer questions on very important topics that a lot of people are concerned about. You know, it's a legitimate question, right? Because a lot of people are concerned about protecting children and kids from something that is potentially a life-altering decision that they can't take back. Okay, so we need to know whether or not she supports this or not.
It's about minors. Let's be a little more specific, since you evaded the question. Do you support the government intervening to override the parent's consent to give a child puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or amputation surgery of breasts and genitalia? You have said that you're willing to accelerate the protocols for street kids. I'm alarmed that poor kids with no parents, who are homeless and distraught, you would just go through this and allow that to happen to a minor. I would hope that you would have compassion for Kira Bell, who's a 23-year-old girl who was confused with her identity. At 14, she read on the internet about something about transsexual. She thought, well, maybe that's what I am. She ended up getting these puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. She had her breasts amputated. But here's what ultimately she says now. And this is a very insightful decision from someone who made a mistake but was led to believe this was a good thing by the medical community. I made a brash decision as a teenager as a lot of teenagers do, trying to find confidence and happiness. Except now the rest of my life will be negatively affected, she said, adding that the medicalized gender transitioning was a very temporary, superficial fix for a very complex identity issue. What I'm alarmed at is that you're not willing to say absolutely minors shouldn't be making decisions to amputate their breast or to amputate their genitalia. For most of our history, we believe that minors don't have full rights and the parents need to be involved. So I'm alarmed that you won't say with certainty that minors should not have the ability to make the decision to take hormones that will affect them for the rest of their life. Will you make a more firm decision on whether or not minors should be involved in these decisions?
Senator, transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field, and if confirmed to the position of Assistant Secretary of Health, I would certainly be pleased to come to your office and talk with you and your staff about the standards of care and the complexity of this field.
That's oh my God, man. That's just so frustrating, right? I know that there's so many people that probably have seen this or watching this right now that are just like, wow, unbelievable. One, I'm not sure if Rand Paul, is going to be very excited to be having a conversation with Dr. Levine in his office. But, other than that, why can't you just answer the damn question? If you believe it, just say you believe it. Of course, yeah, we gonna criticize you for it, but at least we know where your beliefs are at. We know the type of people that Biden is nominating to his administration. And this has nothing to do with Dr. Levine's gender identity. It has nothing to do with that. And I would be criticizing her the same way if it was somebody that was heterosexual, cisgender, whatever they want to call it, right? I don't know the terms, right? I do know the terms, but I don't know the terms because I don't subscribe to that type of vocabulary. But if she was cisgender, whatever you want to call it, I would be just as critical. Okay, let's make that straight here. Because the left is going to try to frame people as bigots because they don't necessarily agree with this type of stuff in regards to kids. But it's not about bigotry, right? Like I told you guys, I'm a libertarian on this. If you're 18 and you want to, do whatever you want to do whatever you want to do. I don't care. Freedom. Okay. But it's really about protecting children from making decisions that are going to hurt them long term or that they're going to regret. Okay. Because children, you can get sexual reassignment surgery, but you can't fight in the military. You can't drink alcohol. You can't smoke tobacco. You can't vote. Some of them can't even drive. There's a lot of things that you can't do based off your age. And I don't think that being able to transition at such a young age should be allowed, especially considering all the other things we don't allow. Okay, because you can quit smoking, right? You can quit drinking alcohol. You can leave the military, right? Once you undergo certain procedures, you can't reverse that. Like, you can't take it back. It's done. And that's just not a decision I think that minors should be making at such a young age. I just don't believe they should. And allowing the government to make that decision and to override parents, I think it's just wrong. And I think that's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. And these are one of these issues, guys, that I think that the left is going to go too far left on, that is going to turn a lot of people off. This is one of these issues that I do believe that conservatives are in agreement with most of society on this. Okay, these are the type of issues where the right can beat the left on this, right? Because even moderates and reasonable people on the left definitely don't think that children should be allowed to do something like that, right? And this is a very simple question in which she could have gave very simple yes or no, but instead she opts to talk about how she wants to talk about it with Rand Paul in private in his office instead of telling the world exactly how she feels about this subject. So
go into the record that the witness refused to answer the question. The question is a very specific one. Should minors be making these momentous decisions? For most of the history of medicine, we wouldn't let you have a cut sewn up in the ER. But you're willing to let a minor take things that prevent their puberty, and you think they get that back? You give a woman testosterone enough that she grows a beard, you think she's going to go back looking like a woman when you stop the testosterone? You have permanently changed them. Infertility is another problem. None of these drugs have been approved for this. They're all being used off-label. I find it ironic that the left are not alarmed that these hormones are being used off-label. There's no long-term studies. We don't know what happens to them. We do know that there are dozens and dozens of people who've been through this who regret that this happened and a permanent change happened to them. And, you know, if you've ever been around children, 14-year-olds can't make this decision. In the gender dysphoria clinic in England, 10% of the kids are between the ages of 3 and 10. We should be outraged that someone's talking to a 3-year-old about changing their sex. I can't vote for you if you can't.
Thank you so much, Senator Paul. Senator Levine.
Yeah, he's right about that. That is something that we should be upset about. That is something that we should have a conversation about, right? Because, I mean, this is not the first time I've heard this. I mean, I think at one of Biden's town halls, they had somebody ask a question where her daughter was 8 years old or something like that, talking about being, you know, transgender and going through this stuff. And it's like, bruh, that's just too young. That's too young to even be thinking about something like that. Right? And that type of stuff, again, like I said, guys, on this specific issue, this is an issue that I think that the right can win on. You know, because I think these are one of these issues that the left is going to go too far left on. Right? They're going to start getting into some things that, well, a lot of moderates, right, and those who are not super far left are going to just be like, nah, we just can't get behind this. So, good job by Rand Paul grilling Dr. Rachel Levine on that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.